In the year 1999, The Phantom Menace released to the public. Fans were pissing their pants with excitement, but there's one character everyone especially adored. Jar Jar Binks.
Misa back.
This silly sack of fun emerged on screen to thunderous applause and has been a staple of the Star Wars franchise ever since. There is just too much to love about this guy, and it's a fucking problem. If I were to make a list discussing everything I like about Jar Jar, we'd be here all day. So for this list, we're gonna focus on the sounds he makes. But here's the thing, I want oral. We won't be focusing on the sounds he makes with his body, but rather what emanates from his throat. My dear subscribers, today I present to you the top 10 Jar Jar sounds. Alright, let's kick this thing off with some... For the first honorable mention, we have... This one always snags a good titter from me. I mean, what a wild scenario to throw at our favorite guy in the first place, but his vocal reaction is certainly the cherry on top. The reason why this is only an honorable mention is because I feel like any normal person who steps in a pile of dung like this would be more intrigued rather than disgusted. Or maybe, that could just be me. Like, I'm just, second honorable mention is, do you ever just have a bad Monday? You know, you didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, you're not really in the mood to do anything. This sound encapsulates that feeling. You know, something I can't get enough of with Jar Jar is how relatable he is. Everything he does feels like something any normal person would do, and it keeps him grounded in a galaxy full of fantasy and spectacle. For the third and final honorable mention, we have... Oh yeah, that's what I want to hear. Let's listen to that again.
Number 10.
For number 10, we have... Okay, wow. All right, I mean, we have a lot to dissect here. Now, I need you to take a look at his body language. You can tell just by watching him that he's never been under such stressful circumstances before, and in no way is he happy about the situation. But this is also his first time having to commit such a violent act. What's truly fascinating is how quick the sound is. He really goes through quite the emotional arc in this one moment. He starts his jump with a cold silence, slams to the ground with a sudden cry of anger, and goes silent once again. You see, Jar Jar was smarter than to let his anger consume him completely, leaving us, the audience, with only a taste of his real power.
Number 9.
At number 9, we have...
I was back.
I've been there, Jar Jar. That breath of hopelessness, that freezing chill cutting through your bones. My hands shake, my jaw quivers. The batteries of my soul begin to leak as my heart powers down and turns black as coal. This is not just a sound made by the one and only Jar Jar, but rather a coded message for our emotional minds to subconsciously uncover and learn from. Jar Jar isn't just telling us something about fear and death, but he's flipping our concepts of poetry on their heads. He's reaching his hand inside of us and pulling out what we once thought was lost.
Number 8.
At number 8, we have... Wow! Right here, we see a perfect display of Jar Jar's youthful exuberance. The way he flings himself into the sky and yells with all the passion he can muster just fills my heart with joy and always brings a smile to my face. Perhaps the most fascinating piece of this equation is the way he spins his body. What would normally be a typical Jar Jar call for excitement becomes a bit more distorted, adding new layers of subtle meaning for us all to appreciate. 1 second, he reaches peak exhilaration, and the next, he goes beyond that, What we are seeing here is historical in the study of emotional psychology.
Number 7.
At number 7, we have... This is most certainly a low point for Jar Jar. Not only is Hisa going to the bosses, but Hisa in big doo-doo this time. This moment always gets me a little bit. I mean, Jar Jar is just trying his best. He's just trying to get by like everyone else, but he has it so rough sometimes. Nobody treats him with the respect he deserves. Nobody lets him know he's loved the way he truly is. Seeing Jar Jar in a state like this, it just, it it breaks my heart. It's a path I can't follow, and I can't help but feel bad for the guy.
Number 6.
At number 6, we have... Now, this sound represents a turning point for Jar Jar. A moment of emotional transition, if you will. See, for the entirety of the picture, Jar Jar has been frail, afraid, and unable to stand his ground, constantly being insulted and shoved aside by those around him. In this moment, we see a fierce spirit arise from his core. Jar Jar finally has enough of the mistreatment he receives from everyone, and he lets loose in an action so ambitious, so rebellious, that he garners the respect of those who watch him on screen. This may have been one small step for man, but it was a giant leap for mankind.
Number 5.
At number 5, we have... This is an essential sound in the larger picture of this scene. In this moment, the mystery gang is being attacked by what Jar Jar calls a big gooberfish. The stakes are high, the tension is rising. As an audience, we're on the verge of shitting our pants where we stand. The only problem is... it's missing just a little something. It's missing that last kick to the stomach that really sends us over the edge. But luckily... Jar Jar, as always, is there for us. Jar Jar lets out a cry of dread and terror, and we're sent to another dimension entirely. A dimension where the colors of night and day take part in a ritual of bonding, only described by those who have seen it as transcendent.
Number 4.
Alright, for number 4 we have... We're really getting into some painful ones now. Seeing Jar Jar land on the ground and roll like that always disturbs me to no end, but this particular scene does give a slight sign of relief. I feel horrible when I see Jar Jar being subjected to this unfortunate violence, but watch what he does when the damage is done. He just shakes it off and delivers a wonderful sound to go with it. I wish I could be as strong as Jar Jar, but I don't think anyone on our planet is. Jar Jar can take on the toughest of challenges and come out on top. To be this brave, this noble, would be unimaginable to a mere human like myself, which is why I look up to Jar Jar, to show me the way. Show me what's wrong and what's right. Help me to understand my place in this world. Thank you, Jar Jar.
Number 3.
At number 3, we have... Now, you could argue that this scene contradicts everything I said in my description of the previous pick. Jar Jar isn't being strong here. He isn't brave, right? Wrong. Here we see Jar Jar holding back his powers. He acts weak and afraid, as to not accidentally traumatize those around him by showing off his real power and putting to the test what he is truly capable of. Jar Jar is simply toying with Sebulba in this scene. He's playing with him like a man plays with his action figures. The loud choking sound we hear is simply an exaggeration of how Jar Jar perceives cowardly behavior. Jar Jar was never really in danger here.
Number 2.
At number 2, we have... This is a sound that always makes me go bananas. Classic Jar Jar with his brilliant slapstick routines. We all know him. We all love him. Jar Jar doesn't just commit to the physical side of his humorous slapstick moments, but he embraces the audio aspect as well. Jar Jar doesn't settle for less than perfect. Jar Jar never needs a second try. Jar Jar doesn't use CGI or fuck up and cry. Jar Jar's just a really cool guy.
Number 1.
Number 1, the moment we've all been waiting for. For number 1, we have...
You overdid it.
This sound was the key to unlocking the secrets of life hidden deep within my body. Suddenly, I feel something I have not felt before. I am trembling. I am scared. I am scared because I fear this audio clip was not meant for us to hear. I fear we are not powerful enough to hear this clip. I fear each time I listen to this selection of audio from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, years are taken off my life. My body is not ready to take this in. I am not wise enough to handle the information given to me through this sequence. I am scared this may finally end me where I stand. But then again, why not? I am feeling this moment. I am now more aroused than I've ever been in my life. Jar Jar is everything to me. Jar Jar is why I'm here, why I wake up every day with a smile and live my life to its fullest. Jar Jar is the reason for my existence. If I am to die right now, let it be at the hands of Jar Jar Binks.